Oh, baby. Well, hopefully this microphone works. Otherwise, we're going to have no volume, no audio. Oh, yes, you good boy. Oh. You can sleep there. Reggie down here sleeping. It's hot out. Just went on a walk, so he's exhausted. Today is August 25th. Happy birthday to my man Gas. 40 years old today, which is wild. Beautiful man. Sent him a text this morning. One of the most unique individuals you will ever meet or listen to. Just insanely funny, inquisitive, smart. Hell of a guy, but he's 40 years old today. Just went out to Colorado with him earlier this month, and we did like 3 days of hiking, 3 or 4. Beautiful time out there. Had a great time. First time I've seen him in a long time, but yeah, I've known him probably 30 years of my life. We played Little League Baseball, and he was pitching, took a line drive to the teeth, completely shattered his mouth and teeth and stuff, had all kinds of surgeries and plastic, for fake teeth and whatnot. But it was nasty. I wasn't there. I didn't see it, but I heard enough stories and people telling me this story in complete horror that they just saw this 10, 11, 12-year-old kid just get his face, I can't remember how old we were, get the bottom half of his face destroyed by a line ball, and I don't want to say meaningless, but a remedial or just a good old-fashioned Little League baseball game. And so when that happened, I think my dad was coaching or something. He was always involved in what I was doing and sports I was playing and sometimes coaching. But he's like, what is Gas into? Like what? And I, we knew each other from school, and like maybe we had played, at recess or pickup games. We were on the same team or going against each other. We ran in the same groups. I mean, it was a small community. Everybody knew everybody, got along for the most part. As long as you were playing sports or doing something, everybody like got along. I grew up in a beautiful city, a beautiful town, a beautiful community, beautiful schools. It almost seems like a dream when I recollect on those times because it was so unique, I think. And maybe it wasn't. It was just my experience, and that's all I can go off of. But yeah, my dad was like, what's he into? I was like, I didn't know him that well. I maybe overheard him and somebody talking about, it was WWF at the time, Worldwide Wrestling Federation, before it became the WWE and the Raw and all this. I had maybe overheard something in the hallway or something where Gas was at. And so we went down to Dolls and got him, I think we got him some like ice cream or something, but we also went to the magazine aisle and got him like a WWF magazine. I think we got him a couple of those, or maybe like a college football one too, because it was in the summer. And then we just went to his house. My dad's like, let's just go over to his house, see how he's doing. And he was a mess. Like he was in recovery, sitting on the couch. It was the middle of summer. It was hot. But I'm glad my dad, did that and took me with him and had me be a part of that, because that was a respectable thing to do. And after that, we hung out in the same friends and just became really good friends over the years. Yeah, been through some crazy stuff, but he's 40 years old today. But that's not why you clicked on this video. August 25th, yesterday, Saturday the 24th. It was weird. At least where I live, it was like gloomy and felt like, I don't know. It just didn't feel like college football Saturday. And at 11 o'clock my time, they're kicking off in Ireland. It just, no excuses. Look, I was disappointed in the outcome. They only lost by 3. You never like when you lose, especially the first game when everybody's watching it because there's not shit to do. There's nothing going on besides the Little League World Series, speaking of Little League Baseball. But so all eyes were on it, especially Florida State fans, including myself, being upset, being left out of the playoff last year. I thought we should have got in. So people equate that to this year. It's a completely different team. There's no excuses. They've got plenty of talent. And I'll get into it, but Georgia Tech beat them. They punched them in the mouth and then kept punching, and Florida State just didn't counter. They lost by 3. Am I disappointed? Of course. Is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. I think they've got plenty of talent. But they got to fix a lot of things. But yeah, Georgia Tech always plays them tough. It's not like Georgia Tech is a walkover, and it was on a neutral field. Haynes King is talented enough. Like a mobile quarterback like him, in my opinion, every team should have at least that caliber of a mobile quarterback. You see what they can do. They can make things happen. They may not be the best of throwers, but their legs make up for it. That's my humble opinion. That's why at Iowa, I want to, nothing against Cade McNamara, but he's just not the same guy he was at Michigan. His knee's banged up. He's slow to make decisions. He's timid. He's a liability out there. In my opinion, that's no knock against the guy. I would have taken the Cade McNamara at Michigan any day. But we got that kid from Northwestern. I just like to see him mix it up because I think he can scramble better and make things happen. And that's historically under Kirk Ferentz, that's where they've had some really good success with Tate and Brad Banks and even a little CJ Beathard, Stanzi. I'm sure there's a bunch of others in there, but anyway. So Haynes King and their running backs were good. Their receiver, they just kept punching, and Florida State just, I'll get into it, but it's not the end of the world. They've got I think it's, in my opinion, they've got a tricky schedule. After seeing that team yesterday, I think they can still go through only losing 2-3 games. I think they can do better than that, and I also think they can do worse than that, but I think that's where they're going to be. They're going to be like 11-2 or however many games they play. They're going to have 2 or 3 losses, I think, at the end of the regular season. But we'll see. And I think if they lose 2 or 3 games, they're obviously out of the playoffs. So that's disappointing. But, we'll see what they can put together. Maybe they'll put together a run, but maybe they won't. That's why they play the games. I knew Georgia Tech. I said it the other night in my other video that Georgia Tech, they got to get through this game. And it's not a guarantee. I saw they were like double-digit favorites. I'm not a betting guy, but that seems like easy money to me. And I'm also saying this in hindsight too, so take it with a grain of salt. But the opening drive, I thought that was scripted very well. It was efficient. It was methodical. It was Florida State did the punching on the first drive. DJU knew where he was supposed to be looking, his reads, and he made the right reads. And they went down the field and put it in the end zone. Cam, his name escapes me at the moment, but the freshman, number 3, he is an absolute monster. I don't know how good he'll be. I think he was just good because he was an absolute tree trunk in high school. I think he'll be good, but he is massive. For a freshman, an 18-year-old kid, I don't know how old he is, 17, 18, 19, however old he is incredibly well built for a football player. So we'll see what becomes of him. Cam Davis, maybe. I can't remember his last name at the moment, but yeah, that first drive they took it down there, and then that swinging gate. I'm glad it worked, but I don't really. Yeah, they're up 8-0. I can't argue it. It worked. Joe Tessitore lost his absolute mind when they ran that swinging gate, which I thought was hilarious. I like Joe Tessitore because usually when I'm listening to him, it's boxing, and I like a little bit of boxing. He loves Lomachenko, and so do I. So he gets real excited when Lomachenko starts doing his thing. But yeah, he lost his mind when that swinging gate, and I was feeling good. They were up 8-0, but then Georgia Tech just came back and just that very first play. I know it's hyperbole, but that very first play, if you go back and watch it, Georgia Tech's offensive line just made this massive wall, angled wall, perfect running cutback run for the running back, and he took it like 30 yards or something. And after that, I was like, oh no, like all off season, and I thought they would be good. They got Patrick Payton, Farmer, the other guys I can't remember, but that linebacker core is stacked as well. We got Lundy, we got Jones, right? Jones Jr. We got I saw AJ, not Henderson. What's his name? The white kid, 20, out there at linebacker. He looked pretty good. I mean, he made a good play. Lundy made a hell of a play. But that first play, I was like, oh no, they just got blown off the line. And then the rest of the game, they just they never imposed their will or went on the attack. They were always on the defense, and they were getting pushed around like crazy. And that was not good to see, but credit to Georgia Tech, man. They manhandled them and pushed them around and punched them in the face and kept punching and kept ducking. And in the end, they kicked the field goal and won it. Yeah, the defense, Florida State's defense couldn't stop anything. I watched some Twitter highlights today, and number 9 on defense, he's got to hit the bench for a while, because that play that they're showing where he just kind of runs around, and come on, bro. You're playing Division I college football at Florida State, and that's what you're doing. You got to get your head in the game here. EA Sports, it's in the game. Just disappointing. I mean, the effort was there at times. There was excitement when 33 hit him on that punt return. I was fired up. Yeah, there were plenty of moments. Knowles made a decent play. I don't know if he was there a little early. Need some more pressure on the quarterback, need some sacks, need to make adjustments on the fly. Like, I thought they could have done a lot more spying or dropping one of the D tackles or D ends back. But it's hindsight. 24-21 was the final score. They didn't do enough to win the game. I thought a defense was a big part of it. I'm not saying giving up 24 points to Georgia Tech isn't terrible, but you have to adjust, because they were just doing whatever they wanted, and Florida State wasn't stopping them. And that was disappointing. On the offensive side of things, they've got plenty of weapons. I don't pay attention until they get on the field. I'll read things here and there, and then I'll forget about them. And so, yeah, I'm always excited the first couple of games to see who we got. These days, it's crazy with the transfer portal. It's like a whole new team, and I don't really like that. But there's still pieces of the original. I wish they would change all that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But we got that Jalen Lucas guy. He looks explosive. We got Tolafili still. He's an asset, and they just throw him all over the field. We got Hakeem Williams, who I like a lot. We got Jalen Brown from LSU. We got the guy Malik Benson from Alabama. We got 84, the tight end. I can't think of his name. We got Ja'Kai Douglas. If DJU throws that ball like he should, he's a redshirt senior, whatever that means, a fifth-year senior. And if he throws the ball to Ja'Kai Douglas and just gives him a chance, just put some air underneath it, that's an easy 6, and that's the ball game right there. But he threw it at his feet, and Douglas couldn't even catch it. I just dropped my head. In the past, I would have been angry, but I was just like, how that so the defense was disappointing, and then DJU was disappointing, and the offensive line a little bit. I thought they did okay. I need to look at their rushing yards. I haven't looked at stats or anything, but when they wanted to, it seemed like they were getting 3, 4, 5 yards. But then when they didn't want to do their job, they were getting 1 to 2 yards. So got to keep that consistency up in my viewpoint. But DJU just looks like he is who we thought he was. There's no one play I think in the second quarter it was like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and he ended up scrambling. And then at like 6.5 yards, he slows down because he's about to get hit. And he got the first down, but the only reason why was because he's 6'4", 250 pounds. And his momentum carried him forward. But it's like, dude, what are you doing? We need 9 yards there. We don't need. You're a 5th-year senior. Like, come on, bro. We're trying to do things here, and you pussying out on a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and it's a tie ball game, or they're beating us or whatever. Like, come on. The throws, there was a couple where I understand maybe he was throwing it away because the defense was there. Well, that's the case. Run, dude. You're 6'4", 250. Run the ball. At least get a few yards. Make something happen. Scramble a little bit. See if someone scrambles with you and you can pop them on a crossing route or something crazy. You got to make shit happen. We're at Florida State, bro. Like, come on. That was frustrating to me. He's exactly who we saw at Clemson. Just big arm, but he missed that throw to Douglas. He missed a bunch of throws. His decision, I think he'll be fine. It's just we got to beat Georgia Tech if we want to be somebody, if we want to back up, the offseason talk and all last year and all that, but it didn't happen. It's not the end of the world. It's a tough spot to be in because all eyes were on there. Again, it was a weird, like once the game was over, I watched Tarleton State for a little bit because I just wanted to watch some other football and there was nothing else on. It was just the game was then suddenly over and it was back in the studio talking about the same old bullshit. And I didn't want to hear that. So I flipped it over to Tarleton State. And frankly, I think Tarleton State may give both Florida State and Georgia Tech a good game. They look solid to me. It was a fun game to watch. But yeah, the offense, I like the running backs. I can't think of either one of their names. 24, the one, Roydell Williams, I think his name is, from Alabama. He's tough. He reminds me of Benson, I think. And then we got the other guys at 27. I can't think of his name. I should look that up. But just a tough start to the season. 0-1, and I think they go to Boston College for a primetime game at like 6:30 or something, Labor Day, so the Monday. So another tough spot. Like all eyes are going to be on them. I'm not saying it's just if they want to be good, they got to win that. Obviously, they got to get their shit together. They got a lot to fix. But another primetime game where all eyes will be on them and they got to step it up. But yeah, it starts at the offensive line. They got at least every play. They got to be locked in, or they got to take some pride in there. You only play it 40 plays a game once a week in front of the national TVs and with your brothers and in front of these fans and these beautiful women that love you in the stadium. Like, get it together. Like, if some of them have to be seniors or going to the NFL or doing other things, like, come on, this is your last go. Do you know how many people would love to have this chance? Your role is to dominate the line of scrimmage, or at least make holes, protect the quarterback. And you got to do that every play, give your best effort. So they got to have that talk with them. But then DJ, you just got to sit them down and go through the tape and be like, hey, what do we like? Come on, we got to get this going. You got to forget this one. Trust your talent around you. Make things happen when it's not there. Don't panic. Don't throw it away. Use your legs. Look for your resources. We got talent all around you, but we need a better performance out of you. That would be my message to him. But I'm not the coach. I'm just a layman fan. They put up 21 points. In the fourth quarter, it worked out, and I'm glad it worked out. But they had like a 4th and 8 from like the 22-yard line. There was like 7 minutes and 21 seconds left or something. And Tessitore was saying the statistics say go for it, and they went for it and got it. Eventually scored a touchdown to tie it up at 21. So it all worked out. But how could the statistics there say you're down 7 points? There's 7, and they had 3 timeouts left. So Florida State has 3 timeouts left. They're down 7, and it's 4th and 8 with 7:21 left. Why would you not kick a field goal there? You're down 4. Play that your defense, granted, they've been getting run through the entire game, and maybe that's the logic there that I'm missing. But I would have kicked the field goal probably. I think Kirk Ferentz would have kicked the field goal, but Mike Norvell went for it. They got it on a crazy play. It was a fun game. It just wasn't the outcome that, as a Florida State fan, that I was mad about it all day, but I let it go. It's just football, but it just sucks because once a week they play and then they. But anyway, yeah, you got to sit DJU down. The running backs, I thought they looked pretty good. They looked tough. They look like they're from that school of Trey Benson. Excuse me, I got to look up that running back's name. Holmes. Yeah. So Williams rushed 12 for 38, 3.2 average and a touchdown. Tolafili was 8 for 32, 4-yard average for a touchdown. Jalen Lucas 2 for 13, 6.5-yard average, and Holmes was 2 for 8 for 4 yards, no touchdowns. DJU rushed 6 times for 7 yards, and Cam Davis had 1 rush for no yards. Leading receiver was Ja'Kai Douglas, 4 for 55 and 0. Benson had 4 for 39, 0. Rodale Williams, 3 for 31, 0. Tolafili, 3 for 25, 0. Poitier, 1 for 15, 0. Morlock's the tight end, 1 for 12, 0. Jaylen Brown, 2 for 11, 0. And Jalen Lucas, 1 for 5 and 0. Yeah, so that's that. Going to Boston College next. Can only take it one game at a time. Last Friday, I was giving Mike some praise. I still stand behind Mike Norvell. I think he's a good coach. I think he's got a good coaching staff in place. But they've got some work to do, and it'll be interesting to see what they look like next week when they come out on the road at Boston College. They got a lot of work to do between now and then, though. And they have some extra days to do it, but they got to play hard first and foremost all the way through the game. Yeah, that's all I got on that. Short one today. Next week, it'll be Iowa and Florida State. Iowa plays Illinois State, I think. Kirk Ferentz is suspended, so it'll be the first time since like December 1978 that either Hayden Fry or Kirk Ferentz are not head coaching on the sideline for an Iowa football game, which is crazy. That is, 56 years ago? 46 years ago? 46 years ago. That's a long time, but suspended for like buying a cheeseburger or something. I don't know anything about it, but I've seen comments about cheeseburgers and this and that, so figured that would ruffle some people's feathers. But he won't be there. I don't know who's coaching, maybe LeVar Woods or somebody. Maybe Phil Parker. Who knows? I bet LeVar Woods if I had to take a guess. And I think that's at 11 o'clock. And then Florida State, doesn't play till whenever the second is. I think that's got to be Monday. So Labor Day evening, Florida State will be at Boston College. Hope for some better results than yesterday, but Florida State needs to come out and play. Tackling was piss poor. They couldn't tackle anything. Lundy had a great tackle, but I saw people putting in, saying that NCAA 2025 or whatever the EA Sports game is called is more realistic than they thought after watching yesterday's game because the tackling was so piss poor by Florida State. Apparently, it's hard in the game. That's what my buddy told me. So that's interesting in itself, but just don't they teach you to drive at the inside hip and take out the legs or stay at the legs? But easier said than done. I'm sitting here watching it on a TV screen versus being out there in the fastest game you've ever seen. And it's essentially a automobile accident every single play for at least a couple people. But Florida State 0-1 drops to the bottom of the ACC, which is like 20 teams. I was looking at the schedule and the standings yesterday. There's so many teams. SMU, Cal. I stopped looking after a while. But they're at the bottom of it, and Georgia Tech's at the top. I don't think Georgia Tech's they're decent. I think they'll be in the middle to maybe tad bit above the middle tier of the ACC when it's all said and done at the end of the year, but I could be completely wrong. They may go out and compete. They may be in the ACC championship. Who knows? And they may be at the bottom. But it's the first game. If I was on the team, as soon as we got back to Tallahassee, I'm hitting the weight room doing some push-ups. I saw the performance, so I'm probably not going to, if I was on the field, I'm embarrassed, but I know where I got beat, so I'm just going back to the lab. You got to watch some tape, I suppose. I guess that's what the good ones do. You got to man up to it. That's either going to, yeah. But we'll see. So disappointing loss yesterday. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world, but they got work to do. Otherwise, it's gonna be a long season for them and me. But we'll see what Iowa comes out with next week against Illinois State. That's about it. You guys have a good weekend.